Deity concept. Deities are metaphors for cultural dreams of our ultimate progenitors, and psychology has taught us how important our mental depictions and memories of our parents are to any real understanding of our own identities. Humans have needed divinity to make sense of where we came from and of who and what we are, as both a species and a distinct culture. It's difficult for us to conceive of mere chance existence. Artemis, one of the major Olympian goddesses of Greece. Artemis was the sister of Apollo, born of Leto by Zeus. Zeus loved her dearly and gave her many special gifts, especially a silver bow made by the Cyclopes. Artemis put the bow to good use as huntress. She was also a militant virgin, as a young man Actaeon discovered. After purely by chance coming upon her bathing in the forest, poor Actaeon was changed into a stag and hunted down by Artemis's dogs for his sin. Artemis was sometimes associated with the moon, as her brother was with the sun. Artemis' real sources are probably in the Middle East, where she would have been a much more sexual goddess associated with fecundity and birth. The famous Artemis of Ephesus is depicted with many breasts, and even in Greece she's the goddess of childbirth, an aspect indicated by the fact that Leto gave birth to her without the usual pains associated with the process. Artemis, like the other Olympians, could cause great pain to humans. She played an important role in the story of the sacrifice of Iphigenia, and in that of the ruthless killing of the children of Niobe, who had made the mistake of boasting that they were more beautiful than the children of Leto. When one of her own followers, the nymph Callisto, had an affair with Zeus, Artemis became so angry that she turned the girl into a bear and set her hounds on her. Zeus plucked up the bear and flung her into the sky to become the constellation Ursa Major, the Great Bear. Dreams and myths. For thinkers such as Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell, myths are comparable to dreams and should be regarded as seriously as we regard dreams. Dreams provide us with important information about ourselves, information uncorrupted by conscious defense mechanisms. Myths, with their complex and often bizarre dreamlike events and symbols, do the same thing for cultures. They provide direct insight to the collective psyche or the collective soul. To repress or dismiss myths as mere illusion can be as psychologically and spiritually harmful as dismissing dreams. Both are languages of the unconscious. In short, says Jung and Campbell, we need myths, those of our individual and cultural past and origins, and a mythical consciousness in the present time to show us who we are. Self-knowledge and identity involve intangibles that transcend mere name, parentage, and geographical location. Druids. Druids were the priestly class in early Celtic societies, especially continental Celts. They were judges and seers with great moral authority, who ranked above all other classes. As such, they were the equivalent of their Indo-European brothers, the Indian Brahmins. The Romans in Gaul developed myths about the Druids, such as the one suggesting that they practiced human sacrifice. The Irish Field may be said to have somewhat diminished Druidic standing. The great Celtic bards Taliesin and Amargen had Druidic qualities and authority. The Norse flood. The first gods in Norse mythology killed the great frost giant Ymir and created the world out of him. The giant's spilled blood became a flood that drowned all of the frost giants, with the exception of one, Bergelmir and his wife, who escaped in a vessel made of a hollowed tree trunk. The similarity of elements of the Norse flood to those of the Sumerians, the Hebrews, and others suggest a common source, as does the familiar story of a dead primal god's body becoming an animalistic world. White Goddess, a controversial work popular among Wiccans and those who think of themselves as modern pagans. It is concerned with the relationship between literature, myth, and goddess worship, influenced by Sir James Fraser's The Golden Bough, and ancient Celtic bardism and mythology. Graves in the White Goddess speaks particularly to those who see the goddess as the centre of true spirituality. Vrtra, meaning storm cloud or one who restrains. In Sanskrit, Vrtra is the demon personification of negativity and darkness in Vedism and Hinduism. In the Vedas, the demon is killed by the king of the gods, Indra. Phoenix, a symbol of resurrection for Christians and others. The phoenix was an Egyptian bird that always lived to be 500 years old before burning itself in a sacrificial fire. Out of the ashes of that sprang a new, young phoenix. A Hebrew tradition, Lilith, that Adam, Yahweh's first human creation, had a wife before Eve, and that she was called Lilith. Apparently she was too arrogant to lie in the passive position under Adam, and chose to leave her husband when he demanded that she do so, thereby becoming the first feminist rebellion. Li Zhong was the first of the Chinese Taoist 8 immortals. He was taught the Tao by the goddess Zhi Wang, who gave him his iron crutch to compensate for his club foot. In European festivals, Green Man, the maypole was set to represent sacred trees, and a sacred marriage was enacted between a May Queen, a descendant of countless fertility goddesses reaching back to the Neolithic, and the Sumerian Inanna, and a companion known as the Green Man, himself a descendant of all those ancient fertility heroes such as Dumuzi, Attis, and Adonis, many of whom were associated with sacred trees. A later relative of the Green Man was the Green Knight in the Middle English romance of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, in which the theme of decapitation suggests that ancient rituals of fertile sacrifice for the good of humanity, a process reenacted in the Christian story of Jesus, who died on the tree and was resurrected by the spring, symbolizing a new spiritual fertility. And if you like more, perhaps there will be more. But for now, Halli, hello, Halloween. It's a dream.